A first date may be easier than this.
You log in through Facebook, it takes one click.
Bennett Richardson is pitching his startup, a dating app called Hinge,
How many people were under arrest?
to a table full of potential investors. And this angel group, K Street Capital, includes top names in Washington's lobbying, public affairs, and media worlds. It's DC's version of the reality show Shark Tank.
I saw what happened when
And these sharks know the political pond.
Everybody knows each other here, except for the guys who are, out there turning out technology, right? They're not mixing in the same world that we are in media and politics and government, so we can help them get into those circles.
Our sweet spot there, I think, for our group that we're trying to look for are valuations of businesses in the early stages of $3 to $5 million. We're hoping that any entrepreneur that comes to our dinner can feel comfortable that they're going to leave with a check between $50,000 to $75,000.
While K Street Capital may have recognizable faces, it isn't the only game in town. DC is swimming with potential big spenders. The latest census data shows the metro area is the nation's richest, bumping San Jose. The big surprise might be what DC's investors are buying or not buying.
Everyone just thought naturally that's come to D.C. and pitch the angel investors here for political disruption. And what we found was sometimes it was a good place, but we almost were too smart for our own good, and that we, probably dissected them a little bit too greatly, knowing what we knew, having been on it a little bit more on the practical side.
So you put money into really smart firms and see which ones are worth the bet.
Some of them include event planning software company Social Tables and Dashboard.io, which aggregates metrics for other startups. Hinge just launched in DC and is already getting buzz. The service allows users to highlight Facebook friends they would date in search of a match. In much the same way, Bennett Richardson is looking for K Street Capital to be more than a friend.
So having some of the bigger names and kind of luminaries that are part of K Street Capital, having them be investors, I think would definitely be a win.
Definitely be a win. Megan Hughes, it was a win for you to get in there. First of all, how'd you pull that off?
I've just been reporting in this town for a while, developed some relationships and some trust. As you heard in the piece there, this town is all about relationships. So it was a good time, and I think a lot of these investors are having a fun time with it too.
Yeah, very much so. You talk about relationships. How is it that these investors have been able to effectively rise to the top? There's so many people who'd want to be able to pitch their ideas to a group like that.
You mean the startups? How did the startups get picked? And I think a lot of that does have to do with relationships. That backdrop there where you saw the dinner, that was 1776. That's a new incubator that I told you guys about last week that's opening up in town. So there's a lot of startups that are developing relationships through that. One of the founders of that incubator, Evan Burfield, is also an investor with K Street Capital. So there's a lot of ties between the startup community and what the city's trying to do, what that incubator's trying to do, and with this angel investment group.
Hey, Megan, we talk all the time, of course, about Silicon Valley. We talk about startups, Silicon Alley here in New York. What is it about Washington that's attracting this new breed of startup?
Well, first, we do have to put it into perspectives. I took a look at the numbers, talked to KB Insights, which has a lot of solid numbers on venture capital and angel investing. D.C. is still really a small fish. If you take a look at D.C., Maryland, Virginia, combine all of the funding of deals that have been done in those areas for the year last year, it still dwarfs what was done in Silicon Valley in just a quarter. So we're still talking about a relatively small amount of money, a relatively small amount of deals. But what we're seeing, Adam, is growth. Fourth quarter of 2012, biggest quarter for DC in terms of the number of deals in the past 5 years.